There is a quiet danger that lives not in ignorance, but in illusion. It hides behind bookshelves, disguises itself as wisdom, and whispers softly to those who believe that reading alone is enough. The person who reads too much, and uses his brain too little, will fall into lazy habits of thinking. At first glance, the sentence feels almost contradictory. After all, reading has long been considered one of the highest forms of learning. It sharpens the mind, expands vocabulary, and opens doors to worlds we could never physically reach. But beneath the surface lies a deeper truth, one that challenges not what we read, but how we think. This is not a story about books, but about the mind that consumes them. Adrian was known among his friends as the reader. His room was filled with books, stacked on shelves, piled on the floor, even resting in uneven towers beside his bed. There was no topic he had not explored. He could quote great thinkers with ease, referencing ideas from centuries past as if they were his own. Yet something about Adrian felt unfinished. When conversations turned deeper, he often paused. Not the pause of reflection, but the pause of searching. Like flipping through invisible pages in his mind, trying to recall what someone else had already said. He knew many things, but he rarely thought for himself. Reading gives us the comforting feeling of progress. Each page turned feels like a step forward. Each chapter completed feels like growth. But the brain often mistakes consumption for comprehension. Adrian believed that by reading more, he would become wiser. But instead of clarity, he accumulated noise. Layers upon layers of borrowed thoughts, stacked without structure. He could explain theories, but not question them. He could repeat conclusions, but not build his own. And slowly, his thinking became passive. There is a certain safety in relying on the ideas of others. If the thought is not yours, neither is the responsibility. Adrian found comfort in this. Whenever faced with uncertainty, he reached for something he had read. A quote, a theory, a framework. It gave him answers, but robbed him of thinking. Because thinking is not easy. It is slow, uncertain, often uncomfortable. It requires sitting with questions that have no immediate answers. One evening, something shifted. A friend asked him a simple question. What do you think? Adrian began to answer, as he always did. But his friend stopped him. No, not what others think. What do you think? For the first time, Adrian had no answer. Not because he lacked knowledge, but because he had never formed his own thoughts. That moment stayed with him. It was uncomfortable, but it was real. So he changed something simple. After every chapter, he paused. He began asking questions. Do I agree with this? Why does this make sense, or not? How does this apply to my life? At first, his answers were weak. Uncertain, fragmented. But they were his. Over time, his thoughts became clearer. Not because he read more, but because he engaged more. Thinking is a skill. And like any skill, it requires practice. It must be trained. Adrian started writing. Not for others, but for himself. Exploring ideas, without certainty. And slowly, something changed. Books no longer felt like answers, but like tools. Each idea became a question, not a conclusion. And for the first time, he owned his thoughts. Reading is not the enemy of thinking. But reading without thinking is. So read, widely, often. But never forget to think. Thank you for staying with us until the end. If you'd like to see more videos like this, please subscribe.